Alright, so today I'm going to get the AC coupled solar sorted out. You can see how far I got before I realised this version of the Quattro doesn't actually have the CT clamp input. I was looking around at the bottom for it, going like I'm sure I saw the connector for it, but that was actually for the for a push button, right? Which is mad. They've got a push button bloody input on here, and they've removed the CT clamp, but it still shows on the data sheet. And I need the CT clamp because AC out 2 is not a monitored, like it's not actually, AC out 1 and 2 are actually connected together. There's just a relay that disconnects AC out 2, so you can't actually measure the current moving across it. So I need a meter. So I'm a little bit annoyed because now I'm going to have to swap that little box out, put one of these 8-ways in, so I've got room for the, so I've actually got room for the solar meter to go there. And I was really trying to avoid that because the cabling I've got, and there's tons of it, you can see it all going out through the bottom there. If you climb under the van, you see how much there is. I can't readily pull more of that up the wall without disassembling the kitchen in the van. So it's really frustrating for me that they've taken that CT clamp away. Now I'm going to have to somehow find a way to get more cabling down here. I have got spare Ethernet cable here, so I'm going to try and get the RS485 through the Ethernet cabling. We'll see how that goes. Anyway, I'm going to get stuck into it. I still haven't got a holder for this camera, so I'll be back shortly. So I'm just thinking now, why don't I try and get the USB in the box as well? Like, there's not going to be enough room in this box, but if I'm going to move everything, I can use this USB pass-through and use the cable how it is, but I need a bigger box. So I can move the box down here a little bit and that'll sort of obscure the shunt, but I'm not super worried about that, to be honest with you. Or it was really nice if it was up there, eh? Yeah, I might shoot back down there and get a bigger one. Bugger it. This is an 8-pole. I'll go get a big one. Alright, that's a bit bigger. So what I'm going to start with is, this is going to be a hard one to get in there because it's basically the size of the side wall, which I'm not super happy about, but I'm going to lift this up. So I've got this bit of wood. I'll lift this up so that we don't end up with water pooling underneath it or inside of the box, and then got another one of those little vents. I'm going to stick this underneath, or at least in the bottom of the box somewhere, so that water's got somewhere to run out. And what I'll do is chop this bit of wood back here somewhere so the shunt can be lifted up with it. I know this will wick up water, but hopefully the amount of times that water actually gets in there, it just escapes fast enough that it's not going to become an issue for us. So this is our DC power supply for the fans. This is the Carlo Gauzzini meter. This is compatible with Victron. We can set this basically on AC out and say, oh, this is a PV inverter, and it'll measure the current coming back in from the PV inverter. Now, in our case, this will be on AC out 2, and we'll manually drive AC out 2 high regardless if there's an input source. Well, actually, only when there's no input source on AC in 1. But if there's input source on AC in 2, then we'll shut down AC out 2. I know that's a little bit confusing, but I'll try and draw a diagram and throw it up on the screen here for you. So I'm going to make some holes in this, get it ready for old matey. I probably shouldn't, but I'm going to isolate this and pull out the other one because it's no longer required. Oh God, I've still got to clean this up. It's a mess. So just for the sake of seeing what I'm doing here, I'm just going through the side. I drilled a pilot hole, pretty big pilot hole, and I'm just hitting it with my step drill so I get the right size. So this will be the power coming in from the inverter, AC out 1, or AC out 1 and AC out 2, and then it'll go out to whatever receptacles they have. So AC out 1 is the main feed to the van, AC out 2 will be the feed to the micro inverters. Eventually I'd like to pipe in the 2 inputs as well, so I can label them and isolate them for diagnosis. I don't have the equipment right now to do that, but I'll try and leave myself a bit of room so I can wiggle it around and make that happen. So I'll spare you watching all the drilling. I'm sure no one wants to see that, and I'll be back in a minute. Okay, I could mark all these, I suppose. Inverter's off, battery's isolated. I've got to get this done quick because the fridge is not running. I'm not going to bother to go in there and put it on gas. So I'm just going to yoink that out of there real quick. Well, this is certainly starting to drag out, but it's in there. Now I haven't put the little clips in there, so I left them out intentionally. I've got the wires pre-ran in. I'll put conduit on them once I've got the appropriate size conduit. That's for the purpose of running the fan. So it's in there. There's a loop wire obviously because we don't care about the positive, but the negative is on the little auxiliary relay, and we're going to use the auxiliary relay to activate and deactivate the fan. So it's running off the 12 volt, this little 12 volt adapter in here. I haven't set the voltage on that, so none of that's configured, but effectively the wires will run up the side to a fan here. I shortened the Ethernet cables, which has made an improvement, but there is a lot more room for improvement here. I'll get to neating it up. I'm also going to run conduit over all these, and I'll P-clamp them to the sides so that they look a little bit nicer. But otherwise, let's off. Let's have a look. Right, inverter is on. Okay, we're happy. Ooh, power came on. Very nice. Interesting though, hang on. Maybe it was just a bit of a delay. Let's have a look. Which one of those is it running off? Not sure. Oh, whatever. Let's go and see if we've got power in the van. Alright, sick of stepping over the Ethernet cable that's temporarily running the router, so I popped him on the floor. Where are we at? 53.67. We're not booted up yet. Oh no, someone take the cover off it? No, it's still there. Ooh, let's turn that back on. Let's get some power into this thing. I was going to give it a minute for the servo to boot up. I tested this cable because I got the Sparky to crimp a connector while he was here, and got it tested while he was here as well. So we're confident this works. This is the USB port that's being passed through RJ45. It should get the RS485 to the front of the van, hopefully. Otherwise, we're going to be passing the RS485 signal over this cable, and we'll stick the RS485 adapter in here. Come on, what's this thing doing? Ah, loads haven't turned on in the van yet. So once node red starts, we should hear a click. Then activate, there it goes, and lights just turned on in the van. Cool. So loads are back on, which means we'll see the voltage shoot up. Woohoo, look at that. Can't scroll yet. Still booting. The next step is I've got to go and adjust, I'll have to do this from my computer. I've got to try and override, actually, I'll plug some power in and that'll bring the AC out to on. Let me go and do that. I've already got a cord out the front here. So, first things first, this is my AC coupled microinverters on. This will bring the grid power on, which should activate the energy meter enough for us to add it as a what do you call it? When those microinverters kick in, we should see the AC load drop off. Get my hat off because I'm hitting my head. Let's have a look. We want, is there another energy meter here yet? It probably doesn't show up until you, if I've got the wiring correct, and if the USB can actually work over that distance, which it might not. Alright, here we go. We have an energy meter. We're going to give it a roll. It's going to be a PV inverter. I've got some stuck to my finger. And it is going to be on AC output. Let's have a look. They're not going to be making much. PV inverter is making negative 208 watts. How do I invert that? Or do I just go out there and flip the wires, do a cheeky swap over and not tell anyone? I think that's what we're going to do, eh? So this thing doesn't understand, yeah, it's backwards. okay. Gotta sort that out. I'll be back in a minute. Alright, there it is. Producing power. Very good. So, next step is to make that AC2 out. Oh, hang on, I dropped my glasses. Make AC out 2 available when we are not using the generator. So that's going to have to come in the next video, unfortunately. And I'm also in the next video, I'm going to do the temperature stuff. So I was going to show how I did this and effectively do exactly the same thing. So this thing gets turned off if the temperature inside the overhead gets too much. Like we've got, I think it's like 170 amp hours worth of flooded lead acid batteries that came with the van, plus our batteries. So it really doesn't like me disconnecting the battery all the time. So I'll probably swap these to lithium at some point as well. We'll probably make a battery bank out of it. I've got some BMSs out the back we can use for that. So I'll replace this so it's, you know, so we've got some more power than, you know, like the pissy, very heavy old AGM batteries. But yeah, so this thing will switch off and we use the storage until the temperature in the overhead comes down, and then we're good. Comes back on, keeps on charging. So a bit of flexibility there because of the existing battery bank. So I'm going to replicate that on the inverter. The inverter, once the inverter registers a certain temperature, the fans will come on inside the box and they'll vent the hot air out. So I'll show you how I'm going to achieve that using this one as an example. And then I will, yeah, then I guess I'll be back and we'll see what we can do. PV inverter is 471 volts. Pretty happy with that. Like that's now enough. That's now making enough power. I actually picked up a second one of those inverters from the guys over at Alttech, who have been very kind to entertain me while I'm, you know, basically carrying on like a wacky old dude. So. Come on out you come. Ooh. So I got a second one. So a bit worried about the fact that the cords have been cut off the end. Got to try and see what I can do about making it safe. What I might do is just disassemble that connector, move it to the other side, and that'll let me pass out of one into the other. I can't remember if I've got to pass through on the other one. Sorry about my garden, guys. We're coming out of winter here. I've just sprayed it all, and so in the next couple of days it should all start dying, I hope. Yeah, cool. So we've got both connectors here. So it's actually this type of connector that I want to put on the outside of the van. So one for the grid in, so that it can participate in the microgrid with the big battery at the back, and then one for the AC coupled stuff externally. So if I'm working with a mate, and I've got a friend who's interested, we can share power between the two vehicles. So yeah, that's it in a nutshell. Sorry, I'm sort of droning on now, so I'll probably leave it at that. I'm pretty happy with that so far. This is going to switch off the moment the grid goes away. Just to be clear, so that people don't try this and put their inverters and battery banks at risk. Normally you need to use an ESS friendly, Victron sort of friendly, or it's not even Victron, right? It's microgrid friendly inverters for this. And what happens is I've talked about this once before in another video, the inverter in the middle will up its frequency to tell the microinverters after the battery inverter to ramp down their production. Now, I don't think that's going to happen in this case because these aren't microinverter friendly, which is why I've put them on AC out 2. So I want to shut down AC out 2 as soon as the battery gets above 99%, and we'll just run on the van's DC coupled solar, because I don't think these inverters actually support the microgrid mode, which is, you know, at sort of 50 hertz produce as much power as you want, at 51 reduce it, 52 it should almost be gone, with 53 is a full disconnect. So if you want to know more about that, flick a message in the comments below, and I've made videos about it before, but probably didn't explain it very well. So what I'm avoiding here is these microinverters are really cheap. They're not necessarily compliant with what I need, but they'll let me run. So I've got 2 of them now, so I can run up to 1 kilowatt of battery of panels that are under my battery voltage, which is handy for me.